Welcome to Return to Roots, a Mil2Vet podcast where the veteran community shares their experiences during transition by narrating their stories
and highlighting the resources that shaped their journey to a successful reintegration into the community.
Ring the bell to stay up to date and follow us on all social media.
Attention, mature audience, listener discretion is advised.
Return to Roots, welcome. Today we're bringing you Jeff Swan. He did active duty, then from there he transitioned to the reserves, and now he is in Washington. He is the lead of Rock 22, a veteran organization helping us, brothers and sisters. Without further ado, Jeff, welcome to the show.
Hey, Jeff, really quick, before we break into this, how does everybody out there in the watching this show right now, how do they get a hold of you?
I just created a LinkedIn account, so that'll be the easiest way.
Hey, so for the record, Jeff just created his LinkedIn account just for this show.
Yeah. Yes.
And I love it. And we really appreciate you guys listening to the show right now. Please hit like, subscribe, share it with those veterans, share it with those transitioning service members that are going to use it. To the veteran and military community, thank you for listening. All right, we got Jeff on here. He is with the Rock 22, and I'm pretty excited about this. Not only am I excited because he is literally almost my next door neighbor, and we met up, and it was just awesome to see that there's another veteran resource literally right around the corner. And that's why us as veterans, we need to communicate with each other and talk with each other and networking. And that's what it leads to, Jeff. I love it. And so what is some content that you recommend transitioning service members to digest while they're in their transition?
A big thing I think of is to find, if you can find some books or whatnot that will help each individual person out, when they're transitioning. Also, family members, that was a big part, and then close friends. And then I also, when I got back from deployment, I went to the VA, and they helped me out quite a bit as well, So those are probably the three big things. Just to find some books. It could be anything from a paperback book to, I know I've read books that have happened while I was over there at the same time, so I can relate to those. So that's a big thing, and then like the family, and then the VA as well.
Perfect. Now let me ask you, Jeff. So you went through essentially three transitions. But before we get to that point, what advice would you give any young person who is about to join the military so that they're successful? What advice would you give them if you could go back in time and tell yourself the same thing?
Be more open, I guess. That's the big thing. Have an open mind when you go in, and be ready to get all that stuff you can get through boot camp and through either your A school or whatever your MOS school is, and to make those friends, and to also keep the family involved too, and that the family know what's going on and what they can expect as well.
And then when you transition from active duty to the reserves, what advice would you give yourself then to be successful?
I took it was about 8 years off from when I got out of active duty. I got out of active duty in 96, and I went back in 2004. In 98, I started working for the Washington State Department of Corrections. So I'd been with corrections for probably about 6 years when I went back into the reserves. But at that time, you know a little bit more. So about with schooling and what the military can offer. So I think transitioning back into the reserves, just to be able to ask those questions and get those answers. And I mean, that's probably the big thing right there.
Awesome.
So when you got out, you worked in the military as a master at arms, correct?
When I was active, 93, 96, I was a boatswain mate. I was a BM. And then I got out. And then in 98, I started working for the Washington State Department of Corrections. Then when I went into the reserves in 2004, I went in as a master at arms.
Okay. And when you were transitioning out, so you pretty much got out as a boatswain's mate, then you became a corrections officer.
Correct.
And so it was just really easy for you to get in as an MA. But
Correct.
that wasn't your purpose to be a security minded person. What was your purpose, and what did it take for you to find that?
I wanted to get back and serve my country, you know, especially after 9/11 and everything happened. I mean, it'd been a couple years after that since I went back in, but just to serve my country, have that bond with my brothers and sisters again. I miss that, even though we may have different views on stuff and everything. It was still that bond that I really missed.
So you've done a different types of transitions, right? Mm-hmm. So you did active duty transition, and then you did a reserve transition. Mm-hmm. What was it that helped you get into the right mindset? And would you say that when you transitioned from active duty, and then you transitioned from the reserve, doing it twice didn't make it any easier the second time?
I think the first time when I transitioned out and stuff, because I was only 23 years old at that time. I did 3 years active. I still wasn't, I don't think, grown up enough to really know what to expect. So I just got out, and I came back home. I was in Virginia. So, and then just to try to find a job, I wasn't really motivated. It wasn't for a few months after that till I actually say, hey, I need to do something with my life now. So that's when I started looking and trying to find a career. But then getting out of the reserves I already had my career with the Department of Corrections. So it was a little bit easier of a transition going over from the reserves than it was active duty. And another thing too, because the reserves, you only do in that 1 weekend a month and stuff. So you're not doing that full time and being doing your active duty and all that stuff 24/7 like you were on active duty. So it was a little bit easier, and I was older, of course, so I knew what to expect.
And so you get out, and then you go full time working at the jail or prison. And when you did that, what was it like when you were like, oh man, I don't have to go back anymore?
It was, I'm not going to say a relief, knowing that I can make my own decisions, knowing that if I didn't like this job working for Department of Corrections, I could go and do something else. So having that independence would probably be a big thing. And that would probably be the biggest thing, being able to move around and not have to have somebody tell me what to do.
My wife is still telling me what to do, and Yogi's out here telling me what to do. Everybody's telling you what to do, man.
I know, exactly. My wife was just telling me, give me a list of stuff to do today. And I have to say, yes, ma'am.
At least you're saying it with a smile, though.
I know.
Well, so out of those transitions, what have you learned the most, and what has brought you to now what you're doing in getting a group of veterans to work together, to meet, to bring into the community? What inspired that?
I've always had a call, and well, I'm not going to say always. Probably for the last 9 or 10 years, I've had a calling, or I've had this desire to help out individuals, military members and stuff dealing with PTSD. I currently, I'm diagnosed. I have 70% PTSD, and I have some other stuff going on as well. But there's this one incident, I want to say back in 2014, where I got some pretty rough news from one of my fellow shipmates that I was deployed with over in Afghanistan. Over there, I worked in the BTIF, and that was the prison over there. So we had 600 Al-Qaeda and Taliban insurgents that we dealt with. But it was some pretty hard duty too, because we'd have to go in 5 or 6 times a week and go hands-on with these guys, and we'd have feces thrown on us, and it was pretty rough. But back in about 2014 is when I got that news and stuff, and that changed my life quite a bit. And that's when the desire started to help out individuals dealing with PTSD and not having, there's that 22, and that's part of the name of my group, the 22 veterans that commit suicide. I know it's gone down since then, 17 or 18 now, but a day, but it should be 0. But after getting that news, like I said, that's what got my desire up to start to help out others.
That's beautiful. So honestly, we appreciate that kind of stuff. And as you know, that's part of what this podcast is about, to be able to help with the mental resilience, mental resources, mental health awareness, and how to be able to navigate that without being too much. And with that, guys, funny that you mentioned, Chris and I were working on bringing a suicide awareness and preparation training series here to the podcast. It's the first time that we're saying it out loud, and because it's coming to fruition. The wheels are rolling, so we're really excited about all of that. But I mean, yeah, and it's because, like you, we also want to make a difference, and that's also part of why you're here on the show, to be able to bring that awareness, and you're doing it hands on. Right? How long ago did you start this?
I started the group at church a little over a year ago. We had our first meeting, I want to say January of last year. And what we do there is we meet once a month, and we'll meet in the church 1 month, and the following month we'll have an outing. And we've gone to places like the Museum of Flight down in Seattle. We've gone to museums, the Joint Base Lewis McChord Museum. We've gone to a bunch of other museums up here. And then, but that's the big thing. And I mean, when we get together and stuff, it's being held in a church, but like I'd mentioned, it's not a Bible study or nothing. It's just for a group of veterans to get together, and to express what's going on with them. If they need to drop the F-bomb, by all means, drop the F-bomb. It's giving support to one another and helping out individuals if they are dealing with the VA and stuff. I just helped out a guy a couple months ago, and he finally got in, and he got a disability and stuff. So it's things like that's helping out the other individuals, and it helps me out as well. I'm dealing with some personal stuff right now. I'm dealing with some medical issues with my lungs and stuff, and I've been extremely depressed as of late. And so the group's helped me out as well, and so that's the big thing. And I don't want to be part of somebody that's part of that number. I want to get that number down to 0. That's my biggest goal in life. I mean, I know I can't do it alone, so that's why I need help and everything. When I met Chris and he told me the group that you guys got going on, it was just like it was a blessing from God, and just to get the word out there, so we can stop the horrendous stuff that's going on.
And I've personally attended some of your events, and we went to a Mexican restaurant for Veterans Day where you had, he says that he's Joe, what was
Jeff.
it? No, it's Jeff, but who was it? It's somebody that's super famous, not Joe Rogan. Who's the really awesome? Jocko. It's Jocko's pasture. And he came out there.
Say again?
Jeff was telling me, he's like, oh yeah, I'm like these ears. He's like, look at these ears. These are called Jocko ears from sparring with Jocko. And Jeff is a freaking wrecking ball of a force. He is phenomenal. He's a SEAL, retired SEAL, and his wife is a super intelligent scientist, if I'm not mistaken. And they're just making some awesome things happen, not just for veterans, but for people in general. So that was a really awesome event that you set up.
Yeah, no, it's great. And one thing I do too is for like Veterans Day, Memorial Day, that Sunday and stuff, I do a missing man table and the fallen soldier at church, and then we do a video and stuff, and that's just to get the congregation and stuff, and to light a fire into them as well. You know, so when they do see a vet, it's wearing one of those hats, just go up and say, hey, thanks for your service, because that's all that they might need to hear that day. You know, you don't know what kind of demons they're dealing with, you know, and I know that that's helped me, you know, when somebody's come up and say, hey, you know, thanks for your service, you know, and it's just, you don't know what's going on, so it might be just that little thanks that they're looking for.
Oh, I was giving Yogi. I thought Yogi was going to say something.
Oh.
All right. No, I have a habit of stepping over Yogi sometimes. It's pretty bad. So I'm like, okay, do I pause, let him speak? And no, and I saw what you're talking about. Everybody that's in here, if you're in Monroe, Snohomish, Sultan, you really need to be taking a look at Rock 22, because it's pretty awesome. And you guys went to the aviation museum up there in Oak Harbor. And what other locations are you going to? What's the next meetup that you guys have?
We're meeting up on the 17th of February, and we're just going to do a meeting at the church there. Then in March, we're going to be going to the Heritage Museum. It's out there at Payne Field. It's another military museum. And then that'll be our next outing. Will be in March. I want to say it was the middle of the month for that.
Yeah, that's Payne Field is in Everett, for those who do not know. And they have a phenomenal museum out there. But it's not about the museum. It's about the time that you spend with the brothers and sisters that served, and also just kind of get together and get that camaraderie going. As long as I'm in town, I plan on going.
Yeah. Yes. And then that's what it is. It's not for somebody, the group isn't for somebody to say, hey, this is what you need to do, this is what you need to do. It's to be able to create that bond that Chris was saying, you know, so we can support one another. You know, if I'm having a hard day, or if I'm having some thoughts go through my mind, I could pick up that phone and say, hey, can you talk to me? Or if I just need to be on the phone with somebody, not even say anything, you know, but just to have somebody there that can hear me, you know, and that's the biggest thing, is the support. Because yeah, getting that phone call, like I said, back in 2014 really devastated me and put me on this path to help out others.
Receiving any kind of news, especially about your health and about, you know, your friends and your family and your loved ones, it's a very difficult process to go through. And with that, is there anything that you can give someone that is struggling? Any advice that you can give them, that they're afraid of coming out, they're afraid of seeking or reaching out for that help and resources? What would you tell them?
Open up, you know, talk to somebody, talk to me, talk to Chris. I'm sure talk to you, you know, just, you know, go up to somebody and somebody, a family member, or if you don't have a family member, a friend or if you don't have a friend, you know, get my contact number, you know, give me a call and we'll talk, you know. I don't care if it's, you know, wherever it is, you know. That's the biggest thing, you know, just to be able to get those thoughts and those emotions out there and to open up, so you can start to receive some healing, you know. And pray, you know. I'm a big, you know, God's done a lot in my life, you know, and if you don't have anybody, you'll always have Jesus Christ in your life. So you can pray to him, you know. You can say, hey, Lord, help me. It doesn't need to be close your eyes, fold your hands. You can be driving, you can scream out, you can yell, you can cry, you can do whatever you want, you know. You can just say, hey, God, I need help. You know, it's easy as that.
And getting out there, guys, and finding that help too. It's out there. It's around us. It's everywhere. And if you start looking for, it's going to come up. If you, like what Jeff said, is if you pray about it, it's going to come in there. It's going to put that forethought and the stuff in front of you. So really, Jeff, what you do is amazing, because you take a group of men and men and women, and you bring them all together under one mission, and that's solely just to celebrate each other and to be there for each other, because in the long run, veterans are each other's keeper.
Very much so. And another thing I kind of want to throw out there too is we talk about the veterans and everything like that, and we can't forget about the veterans' families, because their loved ones, their wives, their kids, they go through it as well, And I've been seeing more and more stuff lately, to support the husbands and wives of the military members and kids and stuff, but we can't forget about them either. That the big part, because if the veterans didn't have them in our lives, then why would we be doing what we're doing,
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Hey, is there anything else that you want to put out there? Like, do you have any messages that you want to say, any saved rounds or alibis?
The only thing I want to say is be there for your fellow veterans, your fellow brothers and sisters. When you see somebody that has a veteran's hat on, go up and say, hey, thanks for your service, It's funny because we have these guys on the street, asking for money and stuff. And whenever I see one, especially with a veteran's hat on, I'll give him some money and stuff. I have a 14-year-old son, and my son goes, well, why do you do that? It's like, that's me trying to help him out, whether what he does with that money. That's in God's hands, So we need to be able to support one another in the lowest times. And also, even if you could just go up and say, thanks for your service, I appreciate it. There was one thing, there's the last time we had a meeting, it was a couple months ago, and you had a husband and wife on. I forgot what their names were, but I think they were down in Texas, and they made this comment that they would go up to the veteran and say, hey, we love you, and that means so much, because it's not just thank you, but it's the love that we're giving to them, and that's what they need, So that's probably one of my biggest things. That's why I started this group, up, is to support. And it's helped me out too, like I said, I've been dealing with some demons of my own, and it's helped me out. But the big thing, is to support the other veterans and try to get that 22 or the 18 or whatever down to 0. That's my goal.
Love it, Jeff. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for bringing awareness, a group, a safe place for the community to be able to share and express, or just be a part and be loved.
Exactly.
Appreciate that. Appreciate that a lot.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, you guys heard Jeff with Rock 22 in Snohomish, Monroe, anywhere in the Snohomish County. Actually, if you're in Washington and you're swinging by, take a look at Rock 22. Also connect with him on LinkedIn. He just started his LinkedIn account.
Sounds good. So, and I'll be able to get dates up of when we do our events.
Exactly. Yes. And you get to see some Mil2Vet action in there too. Rock 22 is going to have Mil2Vet around, because that's what it's all about. It's about supporting each other. So, hey, brother, thank you so much for coming on. Everybody that's listening right now.
And thank you guys for doing what you guys are doing, because that means a lot too, to helping individuals transition from the military to be a veteran, It's a big thing. We all need to support one another.
Yes. And everybody that's in their transition right now, I want you guys to take a step. All right. Take a step into taking charge of that transition. That transition is something that it's yours, but it's not impossible to achieve. It is not all rainbows and unicorns out there, ladies and gentlemen. It's your transition. Take charge of it. Mil2Vet out.
As we wrap up this compelling episode of Return to Roots, a heartfelt reminder echoes through our conversation. If you or someone you know is facing challenges, the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline is available 24/7. Dial 988. Your life is important, and help is just a call away.
And before we sign off, a special mention for our transitioning service members. Explore the MYTT 365 app, an valuable resource tailored to support you on your journey from the military to civilian life. With guidance, community, and tools, it is here to make your transition smoother. Remember, you are not alone. Take that courageous step forward. Thank you for being with us on Return to Roots. Stay strong, stay connected, and always move forward.
Support the Mil2Vet community by hitting that like button and subscribing for more engaging content.
Ring the bell and stay connected. Stay updated, following us on all of our social media platforms.